Welcome to the Mother-Daughter-ish podcast. It's your mama's favorite podcast.
And the podcast your daughter always wanted.
This is Miss Dawn.
And Aungelique.
From the 713. Houston, y'all. Get connected and stay connected weekly as new shows debut on Sunday, Wednesday, and please check out our Saturday Out and About showcases.
Enjoy the show. Please subscribe, like, share, comment, and tell every woman on the planet that you know about our show.
Here's our show for today. Hey, it's Miss Dawn. You wondering how you can support our show, Mother-Daughter-ish? We have CashApp, we have PayPal, and we do have Vimeo. Support our show so that we can reach out to more women. Our goal is to reach and build a community of 1 million women. Why don't you come on and help us do that? Hello, mothers and daughters. Today I'm going to take you on a little journey with me. As you can see, I'm driving to my destination now. I'll turn the camera around so y'all can see the nice drive, but I thought it would be important for us to talk about something that's been in the blogs and everywhere for the last, I would say, couple of days. At least I just heard about it. They've probably been talking about it for a month and I'm just not hearing about it. But talking about interracial dating, and this topic came up because there's been a lot of conversation around Tamar and her new Conor McGregor looking boyfriend, and I'm just not understanding why anybody should care about who anybody's dating. And then I also wanted to bring in about the AI rapper and just talk about that as a dating option as well, because I do see some guys that have groups now where the guys are only dating artificial intelligent women. I'll come back with the conversation when I get on the nice road. It's getting wild. Okay, so I'm back. I'm on my main road to Journey. I've got 2 or 3 more turns, or maybe 4, until I reach my destination. But it's just to say, it's kind of interesting how it's raining back at my house, but a mile from my house, look at the dry streets. Is that the craziest thing? And I called, where I was going to ask what the weather was, and they had the nerve to say, oh, it's sunshine. And I'm like, that's Houston for you. But I love me some Houston. And again, our topic today is just really talking about interracial or mixed race dating and why anybody should care about what you do in your personal life. And then also talking about the new AI rapper that has been put out that has 10 million followers on Instagram, which I'm going to tell you why I bring that into this conversation. I'll go ahead and give you a hint right now. There are already groups of men who have networking groups and meetups that are already dating AI women, artificial intelligent women that they have programmed to do whatever they require them to do. So I'm gonna leave that part for last. But again, the reason this conversation or topic came up is because there's been a lot of talk about Tamar Braxton's new boo, that I feel like he looks like Conor McGregor. Matter of fact, when I saw him, I thought he was Conor McGregor because he's kind of small and he wears his hair like him, his mustache and beard is like him. He just looks like him, but hey, I think we all have somebody that we look like. And I just find it so interesting that I was on YouTube all day yesterday while I was working, because I like to hear background stuff in the background when I'm working, and it's like 10 different bloggers, vloggers, YouTubers that were talking about Tamar's new boo. And I thought to myself, why is this even a conversation? Why, first of all, why should any one person care about who another person is dating as long as that person is happy? Now, I do feel like, of course, you should care if it's an abusive situation. I do feel like you should care if it's a exploitation situation. I do feel like you should care if it's a get over you, trying to get over on you and trying to fake with you and misusing you type of situation. That is a situation, of course, where people would care about your best interests. But even in those cases, I mean, look, if you got any little bit of age on you, you know that you kind of have to learn these things for yourself, because everybody and their mama can tell you that that person is not good for you. And until you see it for yourself and you're ready to walk away, there really is not anything anybody's going to do to change your mind about the person that your mind and heart and soul says you want at that time. I mean, it does not matter. The other reason I say that is because recently we heard a report about Biggie Small's daughter, I think her name is Tayana, how she put her $1.something million home up on the market for her boyfriend that we clearly saw that he mowed down in his SUV, a woman and her daughter in the stroller. So we saw what he did. It's not like they can dispute it, but I am aware that when you get a bond and somebody has to bail you out, there has to be some type of asset that has to be put up. So his bond must have been quite pricey to get the bail money to have to put up your $1.something million home. And just because we heard that she put up her home doesn't mean that they're going to take the entire house if he reneges on something. But it could be let's just say a certain amount of money, and they didn't have their hands ready to put on that cash. But it's like everybody now has something to say about him being a dusty and him being a this. Well, first of all, we don't know him. What he did was very dusty. What he did was very heinous. What he did was absolutely irresponsible, and to run from the scene on a police chase against it, it's like that was very stupid. And yeah, her doing that is very questionable, but we just can't question why. They do have a child together. And just as I think about dating, and especially we have to call out the celebrities only because we know them and they don't know us. So it's not about anybody picking on them, I don't think, but I feel like they bring things to the light, because those things that we say, oh, I could never do that, which I'm gonna tell you something, you're gonna shoot yourself in the foot if you running around talking about what you could never do. Because if you get any little bit of age on you, there are a lot of things that you say now that you won't do that you will be doing, and you will like it. Take my word for that. But just thinking about relationships, period, and I guess trying to figure out why anyone should care that another human being is dating someone that doesn't fit the narrative or doesn't look like them. I do get it that we all have our own personal opinions on why we would or wouldn't date mixed race or out of our race. Okay, I do get it. I have my own opinions about that. I have my own opinions for myself, not for anybody else, but for myself on what I like. And for me, it's not about mixed race or interracial or anything. For me, it's more about, am I attracted to that person? And there are just some people I'm not attracted to. It doesn't matter who those people are. There are just some people I'm not attracted to. So it doesn't matter what your race is. If I'm not attracted to you, I wouldn't touch you with a 10-foot pole. And that doesn't matter if you look like me or you don't look like me or whatever. So I do feel like that holds a lot of people back, whether it's female or male. But today I'm just going to focus on the female perspective. But I do feel like it holds a lot of women back from possibly having the love of their life, because they're worried about what everybody else is going to say about who they're dating and what that person looks like, and maybe because that person doesn't look like them or whatever. And I think that that really holds people, women, a lot of women back from going for someone who could really love them, someone who could really take care of them, someone who could really show them something different in life, someone who would be there for their family and, want a family with them, want, to make a home with them. And I hope that there are women that are listening to this show I mean by that is you have to literally forsake every single thing that you have ever been taught and dig deep into your belief system on the things that you've been taught, whether you believe them or not. And the only way you're going to know if you believe them is if you write it down and say whether you believe it and why you believe it. If you still have to question it, then that may be a subject that has a question mark next to it, and it may not be something that you believe anymore. Because yes, you can believe something on Monday and get a whole new revelation by Wednesday. That right there is true. So for those people who feel like, well, I can't date somebody who's mixed race because my mom or dad wouldn't approve of that. For those who feel like I can't date someone who's mixed race because the general public has not gotten on board with approving of it. Think about it. At one time, the general public wasn't on board with LGBTQIA, whatever. They were not on board with that either. But now that you see more of it in series and movies and general public and tapping into the vernacular of the speaking, and the more you see successful people showing you that they can be successful and be in the LGBTQIA community, now it's very mainstream. Now it's pretty well accepted. We knew that it was accepted, those of us that are not in the LGBTQIA, we knew it was accepted when the marriage laws changed. I think that was a big revelation when the marriage laws changed, because that's been such a serious subject of contention for so long. And I do get that there are still a lot of states that don't allow it, a lot of southern states especially that don't allow it, and I get it, and they have the right to do that. But I think if you think about it, interracial dating has been happening for so long, but because we have such racial tension, especially in the United States of America, so many people are afraid. And I get it. For one, you could be killed. You could be killed because somebody is jealous of what you're doing. You could be killed because somebody in the family doesn't want you to come in and mess up the bloodline. You could be ostracized by people in public who don't even know you, but see you and don't like what they see. You could be discriminated against people where you're shopping or where you take your family. Your children, if you have interracial or mixed race children, can be discriminated in schools, hospitals, public settings, with people they're trying to make friends with as they continue to grow and learn. So I guess what I'm saying is we really should not be worried about Tamar and nobody else with them having a different race. It makes me wonder, if he was Mexican, would it matter? If he was Indian, would it matter? If he was Chinese, would it matter? Does it just matter because he's white? And because of the history that black and white has had in the United States of America? So it does make me wonder that. Or does it make me wonder because of specifically Tamar's history in dating? So is this something that's an issue because it's Tamar, or is this something that's an issue because the guy that she's dating is a white guy? I'm not gonna put too much effort into it, simply because the bottom line is that no one should care. I think the way the report should have come out is it should have been, oh good, Tamar looks like she's happy with the new fella that she's with, and hopefully it will work out because we know that she's a wife and she wants to be a wife, and hopefully he loves her son and they can move forward from there. But from what I hear, he's a successful lawyer. He has been known to date black women, so we know this is not his first person that he's dated of color or black woman. So I really don't see the issue. And the funny because somebody wants what you have, or they can envision themselves having it or doing better with it than you have because they're jealous that they want it. The example she gave was, that's great that you live in a nice penthouse in New York and you've got it fixed up beautiful and it's a just gorgeous place. I'm not jealous of that because I have a home and a family and a life, and I would never want to live in New York. So that wouldn't be something that I would be jealous about because it's not something that I want. So this kind of proves the point again, because we proved the point on the last show that I was talking to you about this. But this kind of proves the point again that you always know when someone is jealous, and it's because of you have something that they want or they envision they can do better with it. I have literally heard women go on Instagram and other places, and they'll see, because I just saw this a month ago. There was a young lady, and they've got lots of followers on their Instagram page because they've got a really good following because they have a lot of fun. It's a young lady who's from Africa, and she's a black woman, and she's married to a white guy, and I think they live in North Carolina. And she did a video with him, and they're very cute together because looks like she's about 5 feet tall, and he looks like he's about 7 feet. So they're really cute together. They have children. They live on a farm. They're raising their children, and they're raising their farm, and he works and takes good care of her according to what you can see. We don't need to dig any deeper. We only need to see what she wants us to see, because that's what I feel like social media is designed for, is for us to show people what we want them to see. And down in the comment, because a lot of times when I'm looking at things, I'm not really just looking at the picture, because I can just like it and keep going, but I like to go down into the comments to just see what people are saying, because it can be quite entertaining. And one of the comments, a woman put, "Oh, I could have him or his brother or his daddy." And so the lady that's married, they're not just dating, the lady who's married to the guy that's in the mixed race relationship, she wrote back and said, "No, you can't have him. This is my husband you're talking about. So no, you won't be having him." She got a little hostile. I felt like she shouldn't have even commented. She should have actually just put the laughing emoji and kept it moving. But you know how some people get a little bit more sensitive than others when they feel a little slightness of being threatened by silly comments from people trying to tell you basically that if I had him, it would be much better, or I could do better, or I look better, or whatever. And that's a form of jealousy, to basically say what you have, I could have it and make it even better. Well, where's the promise to that? Where's the guarantee on that? There is literally no guarantee on that, so I'm not quite computing why that would be okay to say to someone about their husband, boyfriend, significant other. If you in the picture with me, you my boo for the moment. You know what I'm saying? Like, who are you to comment? So I just find it very, very interesting though. But I will give you these tips. Women, ladies, girls, if you are considering dating outside of your race, make that decision for yourself. You don't necessarily have to publicize it, and do it because it's something that you want to do and it's someone that you're attracted to. Again, attraction is everything. You can look just like me and be my same race and everything, but if I'm not attracted to you, there's nothing. Oh my gosh. Did y'all just see that? Wow. This is one of the reasons why I don't like really driving anymore to too far of places, because you run into people who drive just like what you just saw. And it's so ridiculous. It's so ridiculous. And I'll be honest with you, if I was in a truck with someone like that and he drove like that, it would automatically be done. I would wherever we're going to get that done with, and I'm going home and I'm deleting your phone number and blocking or whatever I need to do to never talk to you again, because to me, you're a hazard to society to even think that would be okay for you to drive like that in the public, not knowing who's on the road. It could be senior citizens, it could be first time have a list of who I'm not attracted to. So I know that there are just certain groups of people that I probably won't ever be dating because I've never found myself attracted. But you just never know, though. You never know what might happen. So if you are under the age of 50 and you're still talking about what you won't do, minimize that talk for right now until you live a little bit more, and then you'll understand that there's a lot more to it. I think the next tip I would give would be possibly what you need to do is get to know the person that you're talking to or getting to know, and not to introduce that person to anyone in your family or in your close friend circle at first, and that getting to know them. See, I think what has happened too now is that the culture of courting I'm about to sound like I was born in 1948, but the culture of courting has been lost on us. The way I feel it should work is that you get to know someone on the phone. Nowadays we can do video calls, so you get to know them on the phone. You maybe do a Zoom call with them. That could be, 2 or 3, 4 weeks later. And then I think you should Zoom call or FaceTime call with them for several weeks. And then after the Zoom and FaceTime calling and regular calling, minimal for real on the texting, because texting doesn't have the energy really that you need. It's just you have to make up the energy that you think it's saying, and it could not be saying that. I also think that before you go on your first face-to-face date with a person, that you should have already checked them out. You should have already checked them out online if they're on there. It's kind of hard for some people because, like, even I have a 27-year-old son who has no social media, so you won't be able to check him out online because he doesn't like social media. He says that he feels like you don't need to know anything about him, and he doesn't need to tell you what kind of food he's eating and all of that. Like, you need to get to know him to know those things and not try to go on social media to try to put a 1, 2, 3 figure him out type of thing together. So that's his philosophy on that. But anyway, I think that after 6 or 8 to 10 weeks of talking on the phone, getting to know one another, talking on FaceTime, getting to know one another, talking on whatever other face-to-face modality you want to use, that's fine. And then I feel like before you go on a face-to-face date 10 weeks or so later, that you should, at that point, check that person out. Now, all of that 10-week stuff can be cut down very quickly if you've already checked the person out. Like, for example, if they were referred to you and it was a connection through someone else, then that's different. You kind of know them, you know their friends, you know their family, because that other person gonna snitch on them, and then you can check them out. But then you can also go a little bit further and you can do reverse search on photos and see who else they've been out there with and all of that, because I know I'm real picky, and if there was someone that I was interested in, which there is, but if there was someone I was interested in and I saw that they had dated somebody that was in close proximity even with somebody else, that I felt like, no, I'm not going behind that person, I wouldn't date them. I wouldn't date that person simply because I would be saying, no, we're not gonna mix and mingle like this. And I'm not gonna mention any names, but I've already said to myself, if I ever met someone who was dating certain other people, I would never date them. Never. I'm not going behind certain people because just the safety implications alone would freak me out. So that could be cut down. So what I'm saying is, very subjective and depends on the situation. And see, that's the other thing. Relationships really depend. They depend on the history. They depend on how you were connected. They depend on how we relate to one another. They depend on so many things that you can't just take a one-size-fits-all and feel like everybody's gonna date according to this scenario. For all we know, Tamar could have known this man now for 5 years, and they just decided to this person for 5 years, and that they reconnected. His wife died, her husband died. They reconnected after 5 years, and that they had known each other, for a long time, but they were always in a relationship. But, and it didn't work out the 5 years before because they were both, when they met each other in the store, whatever they met, and it just didn't work out that way. And it's like, we don't know. She could have been knowing this man. All of these ex-girlfriends and baby mamas and stuff that are coming out on him and having something to say about him. For all we know, he's already sat down and talked to her about this. That's the one thing I feel like is so important, though, when you do meet someone, that you sit down and you have these conversations. That you have these conversations about, okay, let me just tell you some of the questions I would ask. Okay, are there any women right now that if you started dating me and we go public with it, is there any women that are going to have something to say in public that could have an effect on your reputation or anything like that? And then the next thing I want to know is, have you ever done any kind of sex tape? And if so, who's in possession of it? If you're in possession of it, it's going to be up to you to get rid of it. If they're in possession of it, do you think they would ever come back on? Because, something in a relationship for me that's important is don't embarrass me. Don't embarrass us. Don't embarrass the situation. And embarrassment is attached to shame. So I hope that any women who are dating interracially or mixed race, that you're not going to allow anyone to shame you because you are dating. Another tip that I will give you is, once you do meet that person, that you guys take some time to get clarification. Are we friends? Are we monogamously dating? Are we open dating? Because where I am right now is we're friends until we are married. We are friends until we are married, and I'm going to let you know up front, what it is that I expect and what time frame I expect it. If you're on board with that, we can continue. If you're not on board with that, then we will just be friends, or we won't be friends, whatever you want to do. But I'm very clear what I want, and I hope that other women are clear with what they want as well. But I'll just tell you that it can be very, very tricky when you're dating someone outside of your race. I can tell you right now, and I won't say what race this person was because it doesn't really matter, but I was talking to somebody a long time ago. I was in my 20s, and I remember we talked for about a year or whatever, and we were just friends or whatever. I wasn't trying to get married or nothing like that. He was a really, really nice guy, and did everything in the world I could ever want anybody to do for me. And we had a really good time. We made each other laugh. It was really fun, but we went to dinner one night, and he said that his family, from where he was from, had already designated him a wife, and that he was supposed to leave in a few weeks to go to London to meet her, and that he had to marry her. He said, because my mom specifically would never allow me to marry an American woman. And I said, you do realize I'm not interested in getting married? He said, yeah, but my mom would never even allow me to introduce you because you're not of our culture. And I was like, wow, that was like a revelation at 20 something. I was like, oh, okay, well, that's cool. And so then he said, I feel like I've taken up a year of your time, so I feel like I should pay you for taking up your time. I'm not going to say what he gave me and what I did with it and all that stuff, but I just felt like, wow, just the consideration of it, that, just in different cultures, they're just different thought processes. Now, right now, if you dated somebody for 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 years, 10 years, and they took you off the market for 10 years, they're not going to turn around and tell you they want to pay you for nothing. They feel like, oh, you did the time, I did the time, whatever is whatever, and you get what you get, and you spent the time with me like I spent the time with you. But different cultures have different philosophies on things. That's why I was telling my daughter on one of the podcasts we did together, when we were talking about different marriages and stuff and cultural, and I was saying that I have no problem with arranged marriages, simply because it's for that culture. I didn't say it was for me, this has been a conversation. Let me tell you something. This is not new. The conversation on artificial intelligence, I'm going to call them synthetic dolls that people are using as humans, and they're marrying them. They're having relations. They're having relations with them. They're programming them to be subservient to them and call them sir and king and lord and all of these things. And the funny thing is, if you treat a woman right and she respects you enough, she'll do the same. I promise. She'll do the same. And this is not a new conversation. It's just that now it's being bold enough to be seen. It's being bold enough to show itself to us that this is where it's headed. For guys who are not able to get a date traditionally, they're just gonna get a synthetic doll. Let me tell you something. My daughter and I, me and Angie, we were doing a show, and the show was, I can't even remember. It was last year. But anyway, we ended up going to one of those toy stores, sex stores or whatever, and we were perusing around, and we were just talking about the different things that were in there. And I promise you, last year they had the dolls in there. It was like $1,500 or more. They had the men and they had the women. They had all different color races, and you could program it to do whatever. So this is not a new conversation. So my question to you then is, because now it looks like they want to replace the rappers with AI, like they tried to do with the hologram. Y'all didn't like that too much. The public, general public, we do have a voice. We didn't like that very much, so we didn't let them get away with too much of that, especially since they tried to use Whitney and Tupac, two most beloved people. Isn't it beautiful out here though? Isn't it just nice and sunny and beautiful? I love it. But now they're gonna try with the AI person, and this is crazy how my brain is. When I first saw it, the first thing I said is, I wonder what woman is sitting there going, I'll give him a chance. Like, he could be my boo. Go online and look up synthetic AI companions, and you can literally show a picture of what you want, and they will create you one. Like, now those are like $10,000 to $20,000. They will create that person to look like you. They will show you in the computer system that you use for them. Looks like an iPad. You can tell it what to say to you, how to greet you, how to come on to you, how to do everything, and I do mean everything to you. So my question is if you're worried about if somebody's dating interracially, what are you gonna do when they start sitting in public and in the restaurants, as they are already doing? And I've already seen